Hello and welcome to Watchmaking. Here is Ines.
And Lisa.
This is the podcast about watchmaking that you've never heard before.
We're going to take you on an exciting journey into the heart of timepieces, and our experts and guests will offer an exclusive insider's views, forecasts, and predictions on the industry.
From the intricacies of watchmaking to its far-reaching implications across different domains, watchmaking is your go-to destination.
So enjoy and
Viva watchmaking!
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Watchmaking, where we're talking not only about watches, but the whole horological ecosystem. And thank you for your support of our latest episode with Oliver Müller and the discussion we had on the tendencies for 2024 and the state of the market. So today we will dive into another topic, one of the most controversial topics of the last decade, but also one of the most important ones.
Please welcome our new guest, the founder of the first B Corp certified Swiss watch brand, ID Genève, Mr. Nicolas Freudiger, with whom we will delve into the wide and prevailing topic of sustainability in watchmaking. But before we begin, just a quick reminder for you to vote for this podcast if you like it, and don't hesitate to leave us your comments on LinkedIn or Instagram. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for having me. What a pleasure on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
To start the week.
So I talked about a B Corp certification, which refers to a certification for companies engaged in a sustainable approach in every level, not only in regards to their finished products, but also in terms of production process and internal workings. And this certification is awarded to companies from various fields. It was given for the first time for a Swiss watch brand, so ID Genève. So we feel that this bears witness to an increased concern in this industry regarding the sustainable nature of watches, in the same way as the Deloitte report, which we discussed previously on Watches TV, indicated customer rising interest and demand for sustainable watches. So first question maybe, what is the sustainability to you?
It's a very good question. Let me bounce back first on the B Corp certification. We're big fans of that certification because it goes beyond the product itself.
Maybe you can explain us what is B Corp actually.
Yeah.
Let's start from the scratch.
So the B Corp certification is a network of thousands of companies worldwide, ranging from corporates to we've heard about Nespresso in Switzerland, to startups, and they provide a certified, holistic certification that goes beyond the product itself. And this is a verified certification. And of course, when you become a B Corp, you're part of this community. Early on with ID Genève, we were a B Corp pending. This is a status for startup. And then we actually were official since last October as a full B Corp certification.
There are not a lot of watch brands which are certified, right?
Exactly. I think we always want to pioneer the way for the watchmaking industry. We're very proud of being the first Swiss-made watches. We know there's some other brands working on it, and we hope we can work together after that with other B Corps and collaborate under the roof of B Corp Switzerland.
Yeah, so B Corp basically means that your brand is ecological and sustainable.
I mean,
exactly. What is sustainability for you?
Sustainability for me, it's intrinsically linked to the watchmaking world. I think this is why I'm a watch fan, and I've been since my early age. I think it's now it's really about putting it into the new definition of luxury. We'll come to that, but ID is this new identity of luxury. I think there is a need right now to change the underlying narrative of luxury, and sustainability also will play a part in it. And sustainability also is a must for any company that you launch. And right now in 2024. And so when we launched in 2020, we really wanted to inspire and influence also the industry by showcasing also some economic opportunities that we see here.
So maybe to people who are still doubting the importance of having a sustainable behavior, could you share with us like the reasons, 3 reasons maybe that come to mind?
That's a very good point. Especially with the luxury industry, I want to talk about totem industries. I think we're here to inspire, and this is into our new definition of luxury. So, I mean, if we look at the whole world right now, I think we're almost in March, and it has been hard. It has been a tough ski season. And I think, even in Switzerland, we will be and we are affected by climate change. I think this is something we should. This is why we should be acting for it. And as the luxury industry and ID Genève, we're trying here to push and change and disrupt. But also, with a positive tone of voice. I think this lifestyle should be also desirable. And this is why we have also good aesthetics, good storytelling, and this is how we can influence also people. When they wear a watch, this is not going to change the world, but it's all about the values that they want to convey. It's a statement. Also, it still is a statement.
Yeah, it's another way to talk about your own values. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's through your watch.
Exactly, and. What else? I think another topic, why is it important? I think worldwide, 95% of watches sold over 1,000 USD are Swiss made. This gives us a responsibility and accountability as the Swiss made industry. And we're very proud. I always say that we're Swiss, we're kids from the Swiss made. I lived all the Basel world that could be, and now I'm very proud to be at Watch and Wonders this year. And I think this is why we should do something. I spoke earlier about totem industries. I think the luxury is one where we can influence further than just the luxury industry. I think a lot of people are looking up to the luxury industry, and this is why we should do more. And I think we're already doing great, but I think we can push the envelope further.
It's interesting because you're not the first brand to try and be sustainable, at least in Switzerland, but it's been even before the 2000s and then before this vague of protecting our planet. Of course, we don't have the planet B and we need to do something, but in perception of watchmaking world, and I think we will discuss this later, mechanical watches are sustainable. So why to launch something new if you already have something sustainable on your wrist, like, the watch that can last longer for decades? That is an
argument, yeah, actually. So, yeah, why?
That's true. That as I mentioned before, I think a watch is already sustainable. I think a mechanical watch can hold over 100 years. I think what we wanted to pursue with ID is more of the change of the narrative of luxury, where we go away from mine gold and diamonds, and we create a new storytelling around the word waste, and what we want to do also, being born in 2020, December 2020, gives us a responsibility to rethink a bit the business model. This is why we always say we go from linear to circular mindset. Whereas, as the product owner, the brand, we're really focusing on extending the life cycle of the product. We're building the watch with modularity in mind. So we go beyond the product itself. We go into the packaging. We go into the service après-vente. And we have much more initiatives coming up. And I think this is perhaps the biggest difference, right? It's really we're born in a new age, whereas the traditional watchmaking companies are born 100 years ago, where it was the linear time. We go away from linear, and we're building what we call the world's first impact native luxury brand. That means really from scratch, we start with impact in mind. and we build it towards living also a positive legacy and building this whole new storytelling, right, around waste, around seaweed, around mycelium packaging, around with all of those climate heroes that offer what we call climate solutions, real climate solution. And we harness the power of Swiss Made to support their work and to shed light on their work as climate heroes.
You talked about those materials, but could you tell us maybe what are the materials which are produced and which have the highest carbon footprint?
When we look at the WWF report, I think one of the biggest impact on Scope 3 is the extraction of new raw materials, such as mined gold and mined diamonds. And for us, and this can amount up to 40% of the CO2 emissions. And I think for us, it was very clear, from the beginning, if we're B Corp also right now, it's because we're not using and we will not use any mined gold and mined diamonds. And this is a very clear statement for us. I'm going to say it because it's going to come out in our impact report next month. But we believe that mined gold and mined diamonds are going to be the next fossil fuel. I know it's very harsh to hear that, but I think we should be shifting, and we want to make it desirable also to shift towards new materials. And we'll speak about recycled steel, which was pioneered by Audemars Piguet. So we're not reinventing the wheel. Everything has already taken places. I think we just want to be an accelerator of that change.
But can I be here a little bit of devil's advocate and
sure.
say that maybe if we eliminate all this, diamond and mining of diamonds and golds, maybe we'll lose the workforce. There are workplaces for people who can do only this. And going to the sustainability in some terms, it's losing jobs for people.
I know for sure this is not going to happen overnight, and about 60 million people work with gold worldwide, right? And so we're not saying we're going to stop it. We're just saying I think for the luxury industry, I think it makes more sense also to shift the underlying story, the underlying narrative around it, and also be more transparent about it, because right now the problem is traceability. And if you buy something here in Geneva and in Hong Kong and Dubai, where does it come from really? Do you have 100% of traceability about this gold? So I know there's going to be steps, but as we're advocating long-term, if you look at mining, there's no mining 2.0. Mining is about taking stuff out of the earth.
Yeah, it's true.
And digging deeper, and then the material will also become smaller, what you take out of the mine. And I don't think long-term, it doesn't make sense. I think today...
but it doesn't reproduce itself, of course. The material.
Exactly. And so for us today, in the new definition of luxury, I think, of course, gold is not part of our definition of luxury. And we recognize that. We recognize it's still a big part of the industry. But we're facing, the fact that, okay, this is a finite resource. How are we going to handle that? And how do we make sure that when we diminish this quantity, the luxury industry still exists? I think this is for us something really to look forward to, really on building the next storytelling in the next decades.
Yeah, the importance of scarcity, which is a defining factor of the luxury industry and also of watches. But we see each year that more models are released, and there is this tendency for maybe a sort of fast fashion, having more models, more watches.
Yeah, especially watches that are not made from proper materials, let's put it like this.
Yeah, like more plastic materials and
not recyclable
materials. And there we all have an example in mind, not a serviceable movement, for example, with the STEM 51, sorry. So yes, there is still this tendency for having more watches which are more attainable and at lower prices. So how do you feel about this still growing and existing tendency?
I'm always positive for the initiatives in the industry. I think, talking about the System 51, I think it's a great movement. I mean, it's a great innovation. It's pulling the industry forward. I think that Swatch has been doing also great collabs. Perhaps where we want to reflect a bit more is really on the eco-conception of some watches. And for us, ID Genève, we are building, we've been there 3 years right now in December 2020. We just celebrated 3 years old, and we haven't gone out with a new collection, actually. All those 3 years, we work with the same watch on the circular collection with the circular 1, circular S, and circular C. And now we'll be launching our new collection, so one collection every 3 years. I think this is our tempo. And as you mentioned, I think we're going always, faster. What we advocate, and perhaps sometimes I'm having this discussion within the industry is, can we first have more eco-conceptions on watches? How do we make them really last longer? And then second, I think also around the materials, I ask, can we diminish, can we cap the production on golden watches? I've already started the discussion. I think this is a question that we want to raise because there's so many new materials that can actually be desirable for the luxury industry. So we want to be an inspiration. We want to inspire, and we're also ready to collaborate with some watch brands to move it forward, I think.
And you mentioned you're using the recycled materials. What type of materials are those?
We're using a whole range of materials, such as recycled steel, solar steel, seaweed. We're also working with mycelium. And of course, Watch and Wonders is coming up. I cannot tell you more, but we're launching 2 new materials also with our newest collection. The newest collection will be a 37 millimeter, and we'll have also a new storytelling around diamonds. This is all I can say today. But obviously we're not using mine diamonds, but I'll let the surprise come in the next month.
So do you feel that the quest for circularity serves as a motor for innovation, for creation of new materials?
Definitely, I think. And I think also, let's not forget the power of the wrist, of the Swiss-made wrist. And if we can use that power and just put it at the service of the transition, I think we can achieve such a big impact in the world. I think, we just, for our latest collab with Compare, we're very proud to be highlighted in the New York Times. And for them as a startup, it's also a platform. ID Genève serves as a platform to be exhibited and to bring what I call to make the intangible visible on the wrist. I think this is usually where we meet founders, and we try to meet early stage founders of circular startups in Europe and across the world, and be at their service in bringing more traction faster to their business. I think this is a role we've defined for our ID lab, and we're working towards really accelerating that vision. And in 2025, we will launch also a lab in Geneva here around circular economy and how do we accelerate the mission of those entrepreneurs, those heroes that are actually creating, crafting the new world and the new economy.
Do you plan to use like solar panels for your new lab or something ecological?
For sure, but going beyond, I think the building, and it's really the product, the business model. We're going to partners in the hospitality field. We're going to work around the business model of owning or renting a watch, and so we're really gonna disrupt here. This part, going beyond having solar panels, but I think this is a good start. As mentioned, we'll tell you more also in our impact report, which will be released very soon.
Okay. And I have a burning question about your partnership with Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually, not a partnership, but he invested in your brand. Does he has any influence now on your brand? Do you work with him directly, or how it is happening?
What we can say, obviously, at this point is that we're very excited. I think the end of last year was very successful for us, and perhaps even too much. We've had a lot of traction. He's very fond of the watch brand, and of course we're in touch. What I can say is that sometimes in the future we will welcome him here in Geneva. I think this is also planned. He's very interested. He's very curious. But as you mentioned, he's a business partner. So he's here to help us also succeed financially. And I think this is what's great also with this partnership, so that we are going away from an endorsement from an ambassador, but really he wants to play a role, an active role in disrupting and changing this definition of luxury that I mentioned before.
Yeah, and we see other collaborations. For example, we saw last year's Hublot and Nespresso collaboration. And I feel like we mainly see sustainable watches or examples of sustainability in watchmaking through those special editions or limited editions. And I was wondering, do you feel like it's the future of watchmaking to see more limited editions? And is it the only way to produce for a brand's sustainable products?
I think this collab was great. I think, the way I look at it is really that, any capsule collection is great right now. Any initiative in that field is great. And we should be really encouraging each other in building more capsules, more storytelling in that area. I think this will help the whole industry, and this is a step towards building more sustainable collections, and for sure, I think a lot of all the brands, a lot of the industry is doing a great job, and I think perhaps it's more about showcasing it and being really proud of those collections, as Hublot did, and I think this is great. I think I really want to encourage more brands to do so.
But sometimes it goes beyond this, production of watches, because some brands are still use the word sustainability as a marketing word. How do you feel about this? Because, still some brands, they declare that it's sustainable, zero carbon footprint, whatever. But then when you dig deeper into the details of the production, then you realize that it's not like that, and that it's only like, for example, 8% of recycled materials that were used, but the rest is still not very recyclable.
I think it's part of the transition, I think I used to work corporate before this startup, so I know there's steps to be taken. And what I want to say perhaps is that, you need to be transparent about the things you're not doing well right now. And you have no idea how many people will be on the sideline, cheering for you along your journey. I think, this is what I want to tell them. And I think nobody's perfect also, but every initiative right now, because of the situation, is a good initiative, and is a first step towards something more positive. So I can only encourage it. But for sure, I think from the consumer's perspective, they know that, they read the information, and I think the consumers are becoming more savvy in terms of, traceability, transparency. And I like the fact that they disclose the percentage of recycled materials, how they do it. I think they should be more transparent, because I don't think any customers or any clients will expect the brand to be perfect from day one. As I mentioned before, they will be cheering and supporting the brands towards more of those capsule collections.
But still, there is a demand from the consumers towards the brands to be not only more transparent, but to be sustainable and to.
But it starts with transparency. You know, I'm always saying we're a very authentic brand because it starts with transparency. It starts by saying, you know, okay, fine, Circular One is not the most circular watch, but we are in the mission of becoming more circular every day. This is our journey. But it's a journey. It's not, you know, a fact, and I don't think we will reach it from, you know, in next year and it will be done and the industry will be done. I think it's really just putting the journey, and it starts with transparency, telling more about, and I think this is the shift we're seeing in the definition and the role of luxury in the future. It's about shifting from this mystical aspect of luxury towards more transparency, hard facts of saying, what are we doing on this collection? What are the commitments that we're taking on this collection? And holding to that. And I think this is what the consumers are looking for, you know, more than any sustainable initiative. They're looking for the truth. And I think most of the brands are doing awesome. I look all the pioneer heritage brands, they're doing great, and this is perhaps more about, you know, going away from this definition of luxury and being more transparent about our flaws also, you know, because we're humans.
Do you think it's an achievable goal?
Yeah,
in the nearest future, let's say like SDG goals of United Nations, they're set for 2030. Do you think we can reach this goal?
I think yes. So I mean. Then we will have to look which goals, but of course we have really scientific goals also that are set by the UN and by Switzerland itself. So I think we will be reaching those goals. But I think what I want to open the discussion is about this totem industry, right? The luxury is how can we achieve more than what is expected from us, because we should be leading the discussion. Our vision is really to place the luxury industry at the center of the ecological transition. This is what we're doing. You know, we're opening doors also as an impact native brand. We'll be at the Change Now Summit in Paris from the 25th to the 27th of March. And this is the biggest event for the planet. This is where climate heroes and their solution meet. And watchmaking should play a part in it. And we're going to be there, and under the umbrella of ID Genève, there will be also startups who are working with us present. And the idea is, how can we serve as a platform, as this totem industry, and help accelerate the transition? I think this is going to be our biggest challenge, but we're really looking to doing it in the next 5 to 10 years. So this is very ambitious, but I think we should have ambition when we speak about impact and really also vocalize it.
So your brand is an ambassador for this sustainable cause, but do you feel like you can have an impact on the other brands?
You're showing an example that it's doable, it's achievable, and not only for small brands, but I think even for big ones. So people are not afraid to step into this this journey.
For sure. I think we're always hoping to inspire people, inspire the industry, and perhaps we also want to inspire further than the watchmaking industry. As I mentioned, you know, we're a totem industry, so we can really, you know, think about it. If you Louis Vuitton or Rolex, they change something, they start communicating differently, how the whole world will be, you know, would look at it, and all the other industries. And so we want to inspire further, I think, than just the industry. But also, you know, when we're talking about packaging, compostable packaging, I think this is something that can be used by brands, and we're here to showcase and do proof of concepts also. I think we love doing proof of concepts, saying, okay, why should we be using this instead of a plastic packaging? How can we make sure by 2025 our watches all zero mining and also zero soup, so single-use plastics. And how do we move that faster? I think we have the agility because, of course, we're a very small company, but we can build a new framework around that company that includes ecology, that includes also social well-being, and that goes also beyond the framework of B Corp. That really includes also biodiversity projects. So we're really looking forward to to this year also, where we will have a few pilots on that.
And maybe the question which people buying your watches would ask themselves is, what is the cost of all these initiatives? Does it bring the cost higher, or how do you justify the prices of your watches?
This is a good question. I think our clients, our customer is twofold. First, I think perhaps he's the customer who wants a different economy today, and this different economy starts with transparency on first the suppliers, also on the materials and the traceability of those materials, as I mentioned before. I usually say that people buying our watches are also supporting the next recycling waste streams of Switzerland. I think somehow this is linked to that. We want to. We prefer local materials. We prefer local waste. I mean, so if you're buying an ID watch today, this is what you're doing. You're supporting your local recycling streams.
So it's more than a watch; it's a choice.
It's a choice, and I think also, I mean, as I mentioned before, it still is a statement. I think more than anything, a watch is a statement. We're shifting again this statement towards this new definition of luxury. And we're realizing that we're also talking to the watchonistas, to the person that really wants something unique, quite unique, as this yellow dial that I'm wearing today. This is the Circular S sundial, which is one of our bestseller. Leo handpicked it. This dial also from our collection, to where it represents also the power of the sun. Again, that has never sent us a bill yet. So, I mean, this is free energy, and we're using it with Panatea. On the first collection, we did 300 pieces, lab edition, with this solar steel. That has an impact 165 times less than the industry average. And I think this was for us also, this is a statement that, we can do a production differently in 2024. And we're looking forward to building more watches like that, more lab editions, to inspire also the watchonistas. I mean, the watchmaking world also is very keen on this eco innovation, because if you look at it, as mentioned before, it's a lot about the innovations behind that are driving the transition, actually. And the sweet spot for watchmaking is that we're a very small volume, high value industry. And I think this is very powerful in the future.
So being sustainable would be a way to explain why a watch can be more expensive? Or do you feel like they're linked, the idea of sustainability and price?
That's always the whole debate, and we can also add to that debate: can luxury be sustainable?
Yeah, it's a good question.
What is sustainable luxury? I think I always like to go back to a discussion I had with a professor of a university who is more sustainability and luxury. They touch two parts of our brains. One which is about yourself, self-dominance. Really, I'm gonna buy a watch for myself because I deserve it, because I have a new job, I have this. And then sustainability, which is more about benevolence. How do I live within my correctly within my
not buying
environment?
More.
Exactly.
Maybe.
So
not producing more.
It can be tricky to combine both. What I can say here is that we can relieve that tension, talking about two things. First, authenticity and savoir-faire. So as you saw today, also, we're very proud of that industry. I think the Swiss made is an incredible industry and has been leading also the way. worldwide for ages, for decades, and we want to continue that, and we want to make sure and we will still have a storytelling in 200 years to do that, and we're not the industry of inequalities. And then the second part of it is eco-innovation. Innovation for the sake of having there a credible alternative. I love those two words because this is what we're building. We're trying to build a credible alternative to gold, to mine diamonds. And I think this is our role here, is really to disrupt, change a bit the status quo. Of course, we're a startup, and startups are known in other industries also to disrupt, but they're also there to accelerate the transition. What I call and what Jeremy Rifkin calls, inflection points, where a brand or technology can become more interesting to invest in. I think this is exactly what we're doing today, and we're building around this new storytelling, because sustainability, and I'll talk about the costs and the perception, this is not everything for consumers. They will not come and say, okay, I'm going to buy an ID watch for sustainability, but they expect also aesthetics. They expect desirability. They expect storytelling and around the movement you handpick, that you refurbish. And so we're building also that. Sustainability comes on top, I think. But will be also very important in how you address your customers, and this is why it's very niche today, but it will be a must, as we can see in the Deloitte report.
Yeah, and more customers are putting sustainability and circularity as one of the most important aspects for a watch. But actually, to continue on this, we see that for France and Germany, it's the second most important. We see Switzerland, China, Hong Kong, the United Kingdoms, and United States, which have this criteria as a third criteria. But what about the other countries? How do you see the future with these countries?
I think there is a worldwide change on those criteria. It's not only in Europe and the US, it's really everywhere. Because also this is a topic that is, we're on the same boat. We're on the same boat. As you said, there is no planet B. So we will all be on the same boat. And our hope is that, a watch is a statement, it will stay a statement, and that means that it's using also the same mechanism, and that this new luxury should become a norm in the future, and it should be really more about, again, this new storytelling, this new identity of luxury, which is first about transparency, then the least impact possible, and also about how do we use this totem industry to influence people around us, right? As Tesla, I'm sorry about this example, but this is a very cliche example, as Tesla is doing by accelerating the...
But some people say that recycling the batteries of electric cars costs more carbon emissions than to produce a new car, or to maybe continue to use your normal car.
And for sure, and it's always the complexity also of this transition, because if you look at also mining, if you look at the projections for mining of, changing the whole fleet of cars into electric, we need, I think, 52 times what we're doing today, and this is insane. Also, so again, it's about reflecting on what's the best mix between E and S in terms of environment and social also. And it's also about talking more about sobriety. As I mentioned before, can we do less golden watches? Can we cap some collections? Can
we go to the secondary market and buy something also that's been pre-loved, pre-owned?
Mm-hmm. For ID Genève, so we have a secondhand platform, which is in 5 days we will give you a cashback option. That means we take it back for a very
kind of a trade-in.
Exactly, we trading price, and we will offer you a cashback option. We will take it back. We will refurbish the watch, and we will put it back onto our e-commerce as a RE certified watch. So we're integrating that whole part directly from start, right? We haven't had any
from your brand, the watch
yet.
from your brand, or from
no, for our brands,
okay.
from our brand, exactly. But as you mentioned, secondhand pre-loved watches are also a big opportunity, and I think we're seeing more initiatives in the industry.
But you talked about challenges that you face with implementing sustainability. But what is the biggest disappointment that you had?
I don't like that word, disappointment. More opportunities of what we can do better. I think it's really changing the way we look at a problem. I think we've been really working linear business models. So I push the product outside of my company, and this is not my problem anymore. How about we really are more accountable, and how about we find opportunities in stock, in secondhand, in what we call today, defect sometimes, or like it's not perfect, I'm gonna throw it away. How about this is an opportunity, and how do we tackle that opportunity? Because my first question is always, to suppliers, like, what do you have in stock that we can use? And this comes across sometimes as very harsh, but those are all the opportunities. And I think right now in Switzerland, all the stock, all the small things that are so valuable, and we forget how valuable this is because we've just put a sticker on it that says defect, and we don't want to talk about it. And I think we should be really focusing also on those small stocks as an opportunity.
Repair and not buy new.
Exactly, repair or refurbish, modify it, and really enhance it, and really. I think we should be having more of those conversations. So I always encourage people to have more of those conversations.
And so you're using recycled steel, but maybe in the future, if every brand adopts this system of recycling their waste, we could say, do you think that there will be enough steel in the future?
So, this is a very interesting question. Usually we get asked that question a lot by consumers and our clients. And so first, there's a lot of materials. Right? Today is not the problem really to recycle tons and tons of steel, right? Do you know that for one batch of steel, usually it's about 60 tons? And the whole industry does, this is one batch. This is sort of 14 minutes in a melting facility. And so there's tons of waste available right now. The challenge is really, again, it has been and it still is a globalized industry. The remelting of that steel is really about having something traceable, and where you can know also the average rate of recycled material within that batch. And so this is a challenge, and also recycled steel will not lose its properties of materials. If you look at 100% recycled and a 70% recycled, there's no difference in the quality of that steel, and I think this is where it becomes, because steel in opposition to plastic is 100% recyclable, right? Right now we can talk an hour about plastic, but
there is recyclable plastic and plastic. But
there is recyclable plastic, but first, in Switzerland, for example, you only recycle PET bottles, right? So the small bottles, this is what you recycle the most.
But still, in Switzerland, we recycle, but not in other countries. Not in all.
Exactly.
Other
and recycling bottles or plastics can have also a higher impact. We see that with vegan leather, but vegan leather it's another way of saying that you're also using a lot of chemicals.
We call it leather, like this mix between plastic and leather, and so we do have an option. We're very transparent about it. We have an option. The wine residue straps are leather. This is with by Vegia in Milano that we work with. But then we have two other options and a third one coming soon, who are 100% without plastic. I think the solution also for plastic is very simple. It's zero plastic. In our reports, we plan really to have zero plastics also by 2025, using really also within the supply chain. I think if you look at before you and after, also when you ship the watch to your consumers, all the plastic that is around, right, the packaging, the protections, and
so that's one of the challenges.
That's one of the challenges, and we're not perfect yet, but we hope and by 2025 to have eliminated all those single-use plastics, and there's so many other alternatives today, such as seaweed, such as also Biophilica in London, where we're working with them, and also ways to take it back and put it into industrial compost. I think this is what we're doing with the straps from Biophilica, who are 100% plastic free and 100% based on green waste from London parks.
Do you yourself live by your standards in your daily life?
I'm not perfect by far. I do travel. I was asked by a journalist, like, where did we meet Leo? Of course, it was in the US, and I took the plane to go there. I think it's about a journey to become more circular, also for myself. And wearing a watch that is circular and that is circular Swiss made is also a daily reminder for yourself to become better at it. I think, and I'm on my journey. I'm on my individual journey, and I'm not perfect, but we're thinking about those questions about mobility, about how we're gonna also tackle growth, right? For us, I think we could speak also about an hour about that. But those are all topics who are top of mind. Logistics also, how do we ship to the US, etc. So all those, we're tackling them as they come, and can be complicated for startups, but it's full of opportunities. It's full of new startups every day that comes out and that wants to change the status quo, that wants us to disrupt. And we want to be there to support. We want to be there to be a first pilot in the industry and then pioneer the way. As we've seen the watch, the watch, the moon landing with Omega in the past, I think we want to be pioneering on other topics, but we want to be pioneering there for ID Genève.
And now maybe going into more personal aspects, what are the 3 most important aspects for you in a watch?
Well, I thought you were going to say in my life. I was like, my
Not
family.
Not that personal.
So the 3 most important aspects in a watch?
Yeah, or features, or what do you...
Because I'm a watch collector, so aesthetics.
What kind of aesthetics do you gravitate towards?
This is why we're always in the art industry, and I think, I can love a watch, and then my co-founder will say, no, I don't like this watch, and sometimes it can be about the storytelling behind the watch. This is one aspect of it, and sometimes it can be about the intrinsic materials of the watch where I'm interested. I think I would pick those 3 top 3 materials.
And if you could only wear one watch for the rest of your life,
coming back to sustainability.
That's a way to be sustainable, but which watch would it be?
I'm gonna go outside ID Genève, and I'm gonna say Breguet. I'm a big fan of Breguet, and I think this has the biggest potential in the industry so far. I'd love to have a conversation actually with them, but yeah, I'm a big fan of what they're doing and what they've done in the past. So I would wear a Breguet.
Do you have a model in mind?
The Tradition collection is very nice.
Do they respond to those 3 important aspects that you mentioned before?
Design, material, and
I think it's more. I think here is the aesthetics of the watch. As mentioned before, I'm a watch addicted person, so I really like the aspect of it. The story also of Breguet is impressive, and as mentioned before, I don't see any barriers, right? To we're part of that ecosystem. We're kids from the Swiss made industry, and we look up to those brands as, you know, having made such a difference worldwide on this quality, Swiss made on this label. So we're very proud of them, and I'm always looking up to their new collections and what they're doing in that space.
And last question, if you can meet and have a dinner with one person, dead or alive, who will it be?
From the watchmaking industry. What?
Yeah.
From the watchmaking industry.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to meet, you know, those watchmakers such as, you know, the family Patek, for example, or that you know, just when they arrive in Geneva, you know, and I would love to meet them, you know, as they start their business, right? Because I would have a lot of questions for them.
Teach them sustainability.
No, I think they were also pioneers of sustainability at the time. Also, I think, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel at all. ID Genève, just to make it clear. But I would have loved, you know, to see, you know, those guys, those families that actually came across, and the whole industry before that. Also, you know, we saw a lot of brands who were like buying movements from each other. I think that was really a great time. I think the golden age of watchmaking for me. And I would have loved to understand their priorities, their problems at the time while setting that up. So I would say the Patek family at the time.
Do you think we can learn from the past to build our future in terms of sustainability in watchmaking?
Completely. I think it's so important also, and also have. I think today also have a positive mindset. I think, you know, looking back at what we've done, reflecting on it, and not seeing anything as negative. You know, saying, you know, we want to go by ourselves there. I don't think we have. We're very humble by saying, no, we cannot do it alone. I think we want to inspire, but we want to take part of that industry. We want to play an active role. We're open here to have discussions with brands. And we're having different discussions, and then finding really also the right connections to accelerate, right, to answer our mission, which is really on how do we place that totem industry really right in the middle of the ecological transition, and how do we act on it by supporting, you know, those climate heroes, those guys that do seaweed. I'm very fond of that seaweed project because I know very well the CEO now from Notpla in the UK. They also won the Earthshot Prize from Prince William. And how do we, you know, together do this packaging that can dissolve into water within hours?
Or you connect the different industries.
And we've done perhaps, you know, 500, 600 pieces so far of the packaging. But again, you know, it has reached so many people worldwide. And this is inspiring to see that today we can make a packaging out of seaweed fibers, complete 100% out of seaweed fibers. It can dissolve into water after you use it, and then you can fertilize your plants with it, right? So, I mean, think about that, right? As a proof of concept, as a first step.
How watchmaking can integrate our daily lives and even feed our plants.
Exactly, and how other industries also can do it. We're working with Mycelium, and I know they're going to have a deal with IKEA to replace styrofoam. And styrofoam is environmental abomination. So how can we replace that, right? How can we create together with the collective intelligence credible alternatives? I think this is the key words for today, to start the week and to inspire. And yeah, exactly. It's how together can we do that and have something on the table that is credible, and that is an alternative to what we've always done, because otherwise, if we're not changing, if we're just using the same methods,
you have to question yourself and find new alternative and new solution. That's why sustainability is teaching us.
Thank you for coming, and I want to tell our listeners to share your own thoughts about sustainability in watchmaking on our LinkedIn and Instagram. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
So that was it. Thank you for being with us.
See you soon, and Viva Watchmaking!